Wait. So you said you want to know how I came up with the dance doctor? That's an easy answer. I didn't. Um, I mean, I get the whole nickname thing, but the reality is I didn't come up with that. It was something that, it's a bigger story, right? Because you kind of need to understand the backstory to understand where it came from, right? or why, or how it even became a thing, right? So, if I can take a couple of minutes to tell that story, right? Before I had a class, before I got into the whole teaching thing, I was into tips, right? So I was into this thing where, people would ask me questions about the dance because I don't know if I had gotten popular at it or whatever, but that was my thing. That was my lane, if you will. I wasn't interested in doing classes. The whole want to be an instructor thing. Back then, it wasn't how you did anything, because being an instructor wasn't it, right? But anyway, so I would give people tips, and so I'd be in the club, somebody asked me something over in the corner, we'd quickly work on something, and that was it, right? So later, when my instructor got me to actually do a class, I didn't want to do a class, right? And so if you heard that story before, cool. If you're not, you'll hear it another time. But anyway, I didn't want to start a class, but I went ahead and did it, right? Because he kind of got me with this one-liner. And so because I wasn't sure, I went and got somebody to roll with me because I wasn't sure what that was going to be like. And that person was Angie Fane, right? And so she was adamant. I don't want to do no class. I'm going to do this with you for a little while. But, I'm with you for a minute, right? And so you better, long and short, you better hurry up and get it together before I decide I'm going to be gone, right? Anyway, so the tips thing was still a thing that I was doing in class. We work on stuff, but then I had this knack for breaking stuff down. And so Angie noticed that I had this knack. And granted, I'm going back a while, but there's a reason for that. But anyway, so Angie noticed that I had this knack. And the crazy part was that was her thing too. So it kind of worked. But the reason it really worked is she ended up being the person who really encouraged me to explore and dig into that gift, right? So over time, she was pushing and I was enjoying the process of learning how to break stuff down and really getting into the nitty-gritty of what was going on with people. And she really got me into watching bodies and, seeing, if injuries were there and all those kind of things to see if those were the things that were hampering people from learning, right? Or hampering them from moving fluidly. But anyway, so stayed into that for a minute, and over time, she was like, man, you really getting good at this. I was like, okay. She was like, no, you don't understand. It's your thing. You got a gift for something. Don't just second guess it or halfway look at it. Dig into it, right? And so after that, I really dug into it, right? And so in all of that, there were people, the whole out-of-town thing was becoming a thing. And I was in the middle of that. And one of the people that I met along the way was Kirk Paisley, right, from down in Atlanta. So anyway, we spent some time together working on his dance, doing some other things. And so one time he had me come down to Atlanta, and I was going to work with a couple of people that weekend, right? And so we set up the privates. I remember it was a guy, I don't remember his name. One of the other people was Kim. And so after I finished their session, I would ask them questions, and then I would be writing down how they could work on the dance and take things away from what we worked on, right? And he was like, "What you write?" I was like, "This is just stuff for them to work on, blah, 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 blah." He was like, "Well, so you writing a prescription?" And I laughed. He's like, "Man, you doing like a doctor. You're the dance doctor." And so that's where the name came from. It wasn't me that came up with this thing. It started with tips, and those tips became dance prescriptions. And then Kirk started calling me the dance doctor. And so not long after that, other people who were in the class or whatever program we were doing started calling me the doctor, right? And so the dance doctor was born. But all of that started because one person really pushed me into digging into a gift. And that gift over time expanded as I was observing more, not just teaching, not just dancing. And then the people that I knew or that I was coming into contact with, the old heads, pretty much, as they were giving information, giving examples, having conversations, I was able to pull tips and things that I could apply to the dance for other people into what I was doing for teaching. And so over time, it just became a big ball of information. And it became, later on, those tips and those breakdowns and the ability to write drills. Now, all of that stuff came from, going to school and whatnot. Because there was basic frameworks when I was in college. You learn how to categorize information and all that kind of stuff. And I just started doing it with the information that I was getting from dancing. So it was one of those things where it came out of nowhere. But it was somebody else who gave me that title, and it just worked over time. It wasn't nothing that I had some epiphany about, I'm going to be the dance doctor. No, it was something that other people gave me, and I learned to respect it and cherish it, and just stuck. Just one of them things. Wasn't nothing special.